Welcome to White Rock Podcast. Comments made on White Rock Podcast and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Dennis Lypka. He's one of the founding members of the White Rock Safe Water Alliance, online at whiterocksafewateralliance.com. Dennis, welcome to the White Rock Podcast.
Thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate the opportunity.
Dennis, can you first tell us about the White Rock Safe Water Alliance and why it was formed?
Very good. Well, it's a group that came together in late 2015, early 2016. A group of obviously concerned White Rock residents, and I was a White Rock resident at the time that I was one of the founding members of the group, that were concerned about the what was going into the water. In particular, the city staff had announced in December of 2015 that it was going to start chloraminating White Rock's water, and many of us haven't been generally concerned about safe, clean, reliable water. Haven't studied some of the literature that's out there on chloramine. We're quite concerned on a number of things, including, you're always concerned of what potential effects there might be to humans. Chloramine, its effects, I do not believe have been studied to the same degree as chloramine, and I've since come to find as I read things that, scientists are very similar to lawyers, and you can probably find a whole school of opinion on a wide spectrum of thought, but generally speaking, the evidence isn't out there on chloramine to the same degree as chloramine, or the studies haven't been done. Some people do experience rashes. That's not unheard of. The biggest single knock against chloramine was the effect it has on the environment, and that is the reason why, for example, Metro Vancouver opted not to go to chloramine a number of years back. In fact, Surrey tried it and ended up getting, I believe, a big environmental fine for killing a bunch of fish, because chloramine is more persistent in the environment. It lasts longer. And what all chloramine is chlorine with ammonia added on top of it, so you get a double cocktail of chemical mix. And apparently, if you're like a gill breather, this combination is not very good for you. So there's the environmental concerns that we had. We also had for the concerns that the literature says that chloramine has a tendency to leach the metals and the biofilms out of the water pipes more so than chlorine. And that was another concern, knowing that White Rock has an aged infrastructure. In addition to chloramine has effects on plumbing devices. So, and there's a lot of old strata buildings in White Rock and older homes and chloramine can wreak havoc on rubber and plumbing fixtures. So those were our concerns against why we're against going to chloramine. And actually, the group did a lot to organize a rally that took place in January of 2016, a rally against chloramine. And at that time, City Council agreed, it would not be a wise idea, and decided not to chloraminate the water. And as time went on, then the city in 2017 changed its position and went ahead and did it anyway.
What's the current source for White Rock water?
It comes from an aquifer known as the Sunnyside Aquifer. White Rock has 7 active wells right now. They're in a process of, and they're creatively named wells 1 through 7, and they're in the process of completing a new well 8 on the Oxford site. There's 2 major sites in White Rock where the wells are located. One of them sort of on the east side of town, which is near Merkland Street, and that's called the Merkland site. And 3 of the other 3 main wells are on the Oxford Street site, off Oxford Street. And there's a well at Buena Vista, well number 5, and a well at High Street, well number 4. So there's 7 wells in total. Well 8, the additional one they're drilling is going to be on the Oxford site, or it is on the Oxford site. It's just it's not operational yet, to my knowledge.
Can the aquifer provide enough water to fight a large fire along with supplying water to all the proposed high-rise developments?
Terrific question. I guess one thing is I've tried to educate myself on these sorts of matters. I guess one thing has become sort of evident, and that is nobody really knows the status of that aquifer. There's at least it's difficult to find the status. Interestingly enough, one might have thought that before the city purchased the water utility from EPCOR, they would have done some sort of study on the lifespan of the aquifer and how long it can last and what its capacities and so forth. But they didn't do that. They are doing it now, though, now that they bought the utility. In fact, they just closed a request for proposals to do a aquifer protection plan, including the life of the aquifer. They just closed that last month, June 2017. So we'll probably know more about the aquifer as time passes. Won't help us if the aquifer has a short lifespan. As for the firefighting capacity of the White Rock water utility, I think it's been proven that you just have to look at the fire that took place at Five Corners in White Rock, May 15th, 2016. It was a terrible tragedy. I think it was a 4-story building, and White Rock ran out of water fighting that fire. Ran out of water to such a degree that many homes were impacted. Many mid-rise, high-rise buildings, their water systems, fire protection systems, sprinklers would not have worked if there had been other fires. Even Peace Arch Hospital ran out of water on its top 3 floors. I believe the system is, I think it's supposed to be sized for something like 212 liters per second. During that fire, they needed, and it was just again a 4-story fire, but they needed 400 liters per second, is what the city has said. So they don't really have the capacity. Granted, they've added more reservoir space since that May 15th fire. They probably would have had more reservoir space had they not knocked down the old Merkland water tower before building a new one. But anyway, that's you cannot change the past. I think we're finding that the city has accepted the fact that it does not have adequate water for fire protection. My understanding is they're in the process of putting an agreement together with Surrey to provide emergency water supplies, which was necessary during the May 15th, 2016 fire, because it didn't have Surrey water to help put out the fire and replenish the reservoirs. That they would not have controlled the fire to the degree that they did. The city did inherit an agreement to be able to have access to Surrey water from the previous owner, EPCOR, who had an agreement that was inherited from the owners before that. But with that agreement comes the obligation for the water utility, now owned by White Rock, to continue to supply water to, I think it's close to 100 properties in Surrey. There's about 100 homes in Surrey. I think it's between 80 and 100 homes in Surrey that continued to be supplied with White Rock water from the wells.
There was a recent town hall meeting in White Rock on arsenic. What happened at that meeting?
Well-attended meeting. The individual that was speaking was Dr. Trevor Dummer, who's associate professor at the University of British Columbia, and he's a cancer investigator. Close to 150 people turned out. Free, no charge. There's a group of people call themselves the Arsenic and Manganese Working Group who felt it was important to put something on to inform and educate the public about what may be the risks of arsenic and manganese in their water. And So they put on that, paid for the hall, made all the arrangements, and I guess a few things that struck me. I attended the forum, and a few things that struck me were how arsenic levels have. I'll use the word the maximum acceptable concentration. That's the word that Health Canada uses, which is it's really the permitted level. You really can't go above that level. It's not. Some people incorrectly call it the safe level for arsenic in water. I wouldn't call it the safe level. It's actually an operational guideline that Health Canada has put together, and it's one that they came up with based on economic costs and abilities of small water suppliers to be able to including private wells in order to that they can meet. That current level is at 10 micrograms per liter. And let's say for a minute now. So there's it's 0.010 milligrams per liter, but sometimes talking micrograms is easier because you're using with solid numbers, and I always get messed up with moving the decimal point in the zero. So bear with me on that. But it's 10 micrograms per liter is the current max for arsenic. That has come down in recent years. Only in 2006 it was more than 2.5 times that. It was at 25, which was I was aware of that. But I was previously unaware that not that long before that level of 25, it had been 50 micrograms per liter of arsenic that was the acceptable maximum level. And I guess what that told me is, wow, as more time passes and people study this issue and this problem more, they're realizing that it's important to get the numbers down. What Dr. Dummer did say, arsenic obviously is not the only cause of cancer. Lifestyle choices make some obvious difference to the level of degree of risk you have to cancer. But what all the health authorities do agree on is the negligible risk. The number that's a negligible risk for additional cancers with arsenic in water is 0.3 of a microgram, and not 10 micrograms is what is the current standard, and not 6 or 7 or 8 micrograms per liter, as is what White Rock's water from its own testing results will tell you is currently at. So there's certainly there's some debate as to depend what one's interpretation what is safe is, but there's debate. There's no debate of what is negligible risk, and that's 0.3 of a microgram, and there's no debate as to what the levels of arsenic that are currently in White Rock water.
We'll have more with Dennis Lypka right after the break.
Lotus Ventures Inc. is a BC-based medical marijuana company poised to launch into the rapidly evolving cannabis sector. Lotus is in the final review stage of the Health Canada approvals to become a licensed producer, having arranged facility financing of up to $12 million, plus building permits for its prototype indoor production facility. Shares trade under the symbol J on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Visit our website at lotusventures.ca.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Dennis Lypka from the White Rock Safe Water Alliance. Dennis, what kind of ingredients are being found in White Rock water?
Well, certainly there's, the most sort of notorious one is arsenic, but also very concerning is high levels of manganese. And manganese is another heavy metal. There's smaller degrees of copper, and depending on, I guess, the time you check and the day you check, iron is in there as well. And there's like I think any kind of water supply, there's traces of other metals and minerals that are in the water. But the two biggest concerns, at least from the White Rock Safe Water Alliance perspective, are arsenic and certainly manganese.
What are the similarities and differences between the water issues facing White Rock and those they found in Flint, Michigan?
Wow, Flint. That is one tragedy, and anyone that has not taken the time to see the Nova, PBS Nova video on what went on at Flint really should take the time to see it. I would be doing an insult to Flint if I said, and the poor people that have experienced that, if I said the White Rock situation is anywhere near Flint's. But there are certainly some similarities, and these are what I would see as the similarities. First and foremost, you've got a situation where you have local authorities changing water chemistry without any corrosion controls. That's what happened in Flint, and White Rock has changed its water chemistry by adding chloramine, this mixture of chlorine and ammonia, without any anti-corrosion chemicals, and usually I understand phosphorus is the one that is added. Just as a side point, for nearly 20 years, Metro Vancouver has been adding corrosion inhibitors into its water, for the simple fact that one of the problems you can get when you add disinfectants like chlorine or chloramine is these chemicals will kill the biofilm that's coated on the inside of the pipes, and then begin to leach the metals of the pipes. And I mean, that's one similarity between Flint and White Rock, and that is changing the water chemistry without any corrosion inhibitors. And then for some of us, that's a concern, particularly if you've got a aged infrastructure like White Rock has. I guess another similarity from my perspective, having been involved in a number of freedom of information requests, is that a lot of the facts, a lot of the truth did not come out until freedom of information requests were submitted, and the individuals submitting those requests had to be persistent and almost aggressive to make sure that the freedom of information requests were fulfilled. And many of us are finding that with the City of White Rock as well.
Do you feel there's an obvious solution to White Rock's poor quality water that the city government is ignoring?
I think I don't want to look at things too simplistically, but I lived in White Rock from 2002 to 2016. I didn't know until 2014 that White Rock had this high levels of arsenic and manganese, and I was literally shocked. And I perhaps I wasn't as engaged as a person should be, but I certainly wasn't the most uninformed individual in the community. As soon as I found that out, my first reaction was a letter to the mayor. Says, surely you're not going to, because by then they had let it be known that they intended to buy the utility, surely you're not going to continue to use those wells where this bad water is sourced. Surely you're going to join Metro Vancouver Water Supply. Now, I know that there's challenges associated with that. There may be some cost challenges associated with that. I don't know if the public has seen a fair, how would I say, sheet-to-sheet comparison of the two situations, but certainly that should be done. Certainly the public should have been involved, engaged, had their views solicited, had everything put forward to them before the city decided to stick with its well water supply. And from Freedom of Information requests, we know that the city made that decision to stick with the well water supply on June 10th, 2013, long before they even purchased the utility. And now that may be oversimplifying things. There's still the issue of the pipes and the infrastructure. I understand that, but you're not going to begin to change things or to get things on a proper basis until you get the source straightened away. And as long as you continue to source water, groundwater from wells that have metal-laden water, and each one of the wells has every one of them is a different number. It's not like the water's the same. You can be drilling wells that are 20 feet away from one another, and they have totally different chemistry. So I'm not so sure that a city that's less than 2 square miles has the wherewithal and the ability to begin to compete with world-class pristine water like Metro Vancouver Water Services. And in fact, I don't know if there's a city or a community north of the Rio Grande that has 20,000 people that it relies on old wells to serve up potable water. And this all gets exacerbated by the fact that they're right next door to Metro Vancouver Water. In fact, there are 6 valves. There's 6 existing valves that connect White Rock to Surrey. May not be as simple as opening a valve, as Mayor Wayne Baldwin, he did sort of mock some people who suggested that, but that's all it took in May 15th, 2016 to get Metro Vancouver Water. We just opened a couple valves, and that's what helped put out that fire. So I think if there was a will, there certainly would be a way.
Is the toxic water issue in White Rock causing people to rethink the amalgamation of White Rock with Surrey?
Yeah, from where I sit, I think it's helping feed those flames. There's other issues that are probably happening in White Rock. I think the densification of the city has upset a lot of the residents. I believe that City Hall is really disengaged from the wishes of the residents. I think City Hall has a view that the city of White Rock is going to be some tourist mecca or some, I don't know, Carmel by the Sea or whatever. But maybe it will be, but it certainly is not now. And what it is a residential community, and the needs, the desires, and the interests of the residents should come first. And when the residents think those interests aren't coming first, they're going to look other ways and other means, because and may look to why duplicate local government services, including a water utility, for an area that's less than 2 square miles. It just doesn't make practical sense. If you were redesigning, if you're drawing city boundaries in 2017, you wouldn't do that. I know it's 60 years, White Rock's anniversary, but when they broke away from Surrey in 1957, there was no cell phones, no fax machines, no computers. There wasn't the development that continues through South Surrey and into Mid Surrey and into North Surrey. It was a different world, and I'm not so sure whether the local government has kept up with the changing realities of a new world. So yeah, people are talking about it, and the water utility is a great example of something that's gone awry.
We'll have more with Dennis Lypka right after this.
I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Dennis Lypka from the White Rock Safe Water Alliance. Dennis, as we just discussed, chloramine is known to leach metals from pipes. Are the water quality tests in White Rock being done at the tap or at the source?
To my knowledge, they're being done at the source, at the wells for sure. And the city has also established some sampling stations. Now, those sampling stations are not, to my knowledge, in people's homes. They're not, to my knowledge, in people's strata buildings. They're sampling stations that the city has set up to measure water. Now, whether it's personally, I don't believe that the testing is getting done right at the user's tap, and actually, that's something that happened in Flint as well. The testing, the city has changed testing locations in the past year or so. They did that in Flint as well. Who knows if you begin to lose trust in public authorities, and imaginations can run wild. So I think the city needs to do a better job of explaining how that testing is done, where those testing locations are being done. To my knowledge, they're not being done at the tap, and I think bearing witness to that fact is I know that CAO Dan Boxrell said in April, before the city decided to go to chloramine, despite its pitfalls and the problems associated with it, with the city itself well recognized previously in 2015, 2016. They went there because they couldn't produce aesthetically pleasing water. What the ammonia, when it's mixed in with chlorine and to form chloramine, tends to hide the manganese that's in there, and the manganese is still there. It just it precipitates out into a dark color when just chlorine is used if it's too high, and White Rock's manganese levels are too high.
Have you had conversations with any White Rock City councilors on the water issue, and what have their responses been?
Maybe from time to time a social conversation with one or two of them. One of the things that maybe a lot of people are unaware, when the city did its asset purchase agreement with EPCOR, in which they put together in August of 2015, and then it was completed in October 2015, the city and EPCOR essentially agreed to a 3-year gag order where only a few select people, including the mayor, the CAO, and the communications person, can talk about the water utility in public. And I think that limits councilors' ability to maybe talk freely and open about it. I think I know I've had some conversations. I think there is a councilor or two who think that, for example, that the testing is being done at the taps, and I think it's some tap, but I think it's a tap in somebody's house. And I think what bears witness to what I'm saying is, when you look at the test results, which you can find on the city's website, for all of the water testing they've done, you find no examples of the tests of what was in the brown water that the hundreds of people received from October till April, and even after April. I'm aware of, as many people are, of residents who were getting brown water still in June, and there are people who get it now. So those test results, if they are testing that water, are not being published. They're not being taken to those people's taps if they are. So I think it's difficult for the councillors to really talk about it because, as I say, there's a bit of a gag order, and that lasts until, conveniently until a couple of weeks after the next city election. End of October 2018 is how long that gag order lasts.
If public safety is at stake, why would they agree to a gag order?
I don't know. I wasn't privy to it. Maybe they thought it was in their best interest, both EPCOR and the city. That would be something that EPCOR and the city would have to say. I can't understand why they would do that, but it's there. Clause 509, confidentiality and privacy. Neither party will issue or permit any of its affiliates to issue any press release, public announcement, or other public statement, including without limitation through social media, relating to the purchase and sale of the assets or other transactions completed hereby, unless such is in accordance with paragraph C below, and in the case of press releases, also with written prior approval of the other party acting reasonably. Paragraph C has been redacted from the copy that I have, so I can't. We had to get this through a freedom of information request as well, so. But they redacted the clauses that allow people to talk about it, so the city would have to give you that answer, I guess.
One of the city councilors suggested the White Rock water story has a shelf life of 2 weeks in the media. Your thoughts on that?
I would say that councilor is wrong and incorrect. I think this thing is going to continue. There's one thing that people are very passionate about, and rightfully so, is clean, safe, reliable water. I mean, if you can't get that right, you might as well give up. I think we saw, interestingly enough, just yesterday, the global TV news, the 6 p.m. news had a feature on White Rock water, and again, the same concerns. Arsenic and manganese and what's in the water, and why didn't they join Metro Vancouver water supply? And I don't think this is going to go away. If anything, I think the more that an individual becomes aware of what's in the water and how it may impact their health, I think the more a person's going to ask the question, why don't you bite the bullet and join Metro Vancouver water? I think you're aware that the city is proposing they have proposed a $14.5 million arsenic and manganese treatment plant. Seems like a lot of money. That's more than what they paid for the utility to this point in time that we know about anyway, for a single plant. And of course they got a grant from it, but the grant is still taxpayers' money. They got, close to $11.8 million, close to $12 million of provincial and federal money from other taxpayers, other public money to do this. But at this point in time, the city still doesn't know what the project is going to be, that the public is aware, nor is the city prepared to state to what level they're going to be able to reduce the arsenic and manganese levels. If you can't reduce the arsenic to negligible risk, which is 0.3, and currently White Rock averages over 7, not a point, but 7 micrograms per liter. If you can't get it to 0.3 micrograms per liter, why would you even bother? And that's to say nothing about manganese, which may prove to be the more challenging thing to tackle, because the manganese regularly already exceeds certainly there's only at this point an aesthetic objective for manganese, which, as it sounds, just is for how the water looks like, and that's 0.05. Last year, Health Canada had a public engagement process, which unfortunately neither the City of White Rock nor Fraser Health chose to tell the public about, where Health Canada is talking about proposing a MAC for health reasons for manganese of the same as arsenic, 10 or 0.1. They regularly, the wells in 4 out of the 7 wells are consistently over that proposed health maximum acceptable concentration for manganese. So that is an issue, and I guess I'll just say again, if this new plant can't get to those levels, why are they even attempting that? Why don't they just abandon the source, cut their losses, and begin to take some serious measures to get good, clean, safe, reliable water from a world-class operator that has pristine water, and that'd be Metro Vancouver. I mean, there's been suggestions from the city it's too expensive, but I don't know how the other 21 communities that are all members of it seem to afford it. But anyway, that'd be up to the city to offer their rationale.
What can people in White Rock do to get the city to listen and act in the best interest of people's health instead of being focused on the money side of it?
I'm one of those optimistic people. I think that the more that you talk about it, I think that the more that you write the city letters, I think the more that you write Fraser Health letters, I think the more you let the public officials know that this matter is not going away, it's not just a 2-week spin on the media, that this is an important matter for everybody, I think that it will pay dividends at the end of the day. I think those that want to stay focused on the dollars rather than on what may be best for the public health need to hear that. Need to hear what people think. That's what I think. The city never had any plebiscite or referendum about anything, about either whether it should purchase the water utility or whether it should continue to rely on its well water, the well water supply. Those are all things that really should have been done. Instead, it was done at a closed meeting. So the only way you're going to convince these people that they got to relook at what they're doing is speak up.
Criminal charges have been laid in Flint, Michigan relating to their water quality problem. At this time, can potential criminal charges over the water quality in White Rock be ruled out?
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, so I couldn't really comment on that. I'd like to think that whatever that the city of White Rock have done, they've done in good faith, and with what they thought were the best interests. Whether the interests are the interests of the city of White Rock as a corporation or the interests of its residents, I think is probably open to some debate. But I would like to think that it was all done in good faith, and I guess time will tell as the city's going to some extreme measures to try to prevent the release of public body records to the public for on things like FOIA requests and things where all the facts are there, and those kind of raise questions as what has gone on. I think those are fair questions to ask. I think when you spend public dollars to, as the City of White Rock and Metro Vancouver have, to go to BC Supreme Court to try to prevent the public its right to access records that the Office of Information and Privacy Commissioner has decided at a written inquiry that the public's entitled to. If those things take place, you've got to wonder, why are they doing this? I'm one of those people. I'll freely state I don't buy the argument that they say it will harm their supposed negotiating position with EPCOR, which is what the city has said on its web pages and things. I have a bit of a hunch, then just my opinion, I have a bit of a hunch that the city of White Rock, with its staff and its $35 million revenue budget a year, is not going to out-negotiate a billion-dollar company like EPCOR. I just don't think that's going to happen. So,
if you could say one thing to White Rock city government concerning water quality, what would it be?
It would be this: time to let's be open, upfront with the public. Let's open some doors. I'd like to seriously see them do up-to-date comparison of all the costs, if costs are an issue, of all the costs of what running this utility the way that the city intends to run it right now, including this expensive plant and all these other upgrades and the $700,000 a year to operate the Arsenic and Manganese plant, versus joining Metro Vancouver Water. I'd like to see that done thoroughly and properly, perhaps by an independent body with nothing at stake. And I'd like to see that, and I'd like to see what the city has to say about the health risks. We hear lots of times in response that the water's safe. It's almost said by rote. The water's safe because it's not above the MAC. Well, the MAC, I'll say again, it's just a permitted level. That's the maximum permitted level you're allowed to serve up water with arsenic that high, and it is by no means safe. And as Dr. Dummer had said, he said himself at the forum that he would not himself personally drink water that was at above 5 micrograms per liter. And I'll tell you now, well, you can see from the records, the Peace Arch News did a nice analysis, a good report on Dr. Dummer's forum, and I think the average for the arsenic in White Rock water for 2017 has been over 7 micrograms, 7.5 micrograms per liter, and that's certainly well above negligible risk. And to me, it's unsafe if it's above negligible risk. That's what I'd like to say to them. And Metro Vancouver waters are right on the doorstep.
Has the government in White Rock threatened any kind of legal action against the Water Alliance if it keeps on speaking out about this?
No. I'd hope they wouldn't. I thought the Charter of Rights, we all had a free chance to speak out openly and freely and state our opinions, and we're not in North Korea yet, and I think I will be surprised if they do that, but I would think that would be patently unfair, and that would be another indication to me of something is amiss if they thought they had to try to muzzle and silence any critics or people who oppose what it is that what City Hall has to say and what City Hall presents to be, the gospel.
How can people find out more about the White Rock Safe Water Alliance?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Jim. We have a website. It's you can find it at www.whiterocksafewateralliance.com. And again, it's just volunteers that run it. We try to keep it updated as much as we can, but there are things there. Some great information. We're trying to build a bit of a library for people so they can see the records and of what has actually gone on, because there is banker boxes full of papers that have passed. Some as a result of FOIA requests, some that were freely available since all this business started in June of 2013.
Dennis, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it very much. Appreciate the opportunity to talk anytime.
We've been chatting with Dennis Lypka from the White Rock Safe Water Alliance. Their website, whiterocksafewateralliance.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on White Rock Podcast and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Archived online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. White Rock Podcast is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.